welcome to my very first book talk. This is something I really want to do every, not every time I read a book, but when I read prominent books or when I just read a book for like fun or for a reason that isn't for a video, because I talk about my books in my videos. So when I read a book that's not a part of the video, I will more than likely do a book talk, which is, this is my first one, so keep it up for that. If there are some books that you want me to either read or do book talks on, maybe I've already read them, you can put them down below in the comments and I will make sure to check them out. But as you know from the title and thumbnail, the first book, the book that has the first book talk, is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. Now, I am slowly becoming a Colleen Hoover stan. Like, I don't know what you guys call yourselves, but can I please join this army? Can I join this movement? Because I love this woman with my whole heart. I read It Ends With Us like back in October. It's January now, but I read it back in October and I fell in love with it. And I was like, I love this. Proceeded to buy way too many Colleen Hoover books. And I decided to read Ugly Love. Also, I'm going to keep this spoiler free. So if you haven't read the book and you just want to see what it's about, if you'll like it, you can keep watching. So pretty much, Ugly Love is about this like friends with benefits situation. At the beginning of the book, we meet one of our main characters, Tate, who is moving in with her brother while she finishes school and does work and tries to find a place of her own. So she moves in with her brother. And her brother's best friend, Miles, they live in an apartment complex and Miles lives across from Tate and her brother Corbin. Slowly Tate starts to like have a crush on him, and then eventually they start having this relationship that's all about just having sex. And there are two rules that Miles has for Tate, and it's she can never ask him about his past and for her not to expect a future with him. Now, this is written in a dual POV format, but as it alternates each chapter between Tate and Miles, Miles's chapters are all from 6 years prior into like the very end. They're all from 6 years prior. So while Tate is like struggling to get to know him and try to like form a connection with him because she really, really likes him and wants it to be more than the arrangement they have, we are slowly understanding why Miles has these rules in place for Tate. And it is just beautiful that the way that the two point of views weave together, even though they take place 6 years difference. I also think it's very interesting because you don't know Miles's thoughts at all for the first like 200 or so, maybe even 300 pages. You don't know his thoughts on the current situation. You don't know how he feels about Tate. Some of the time he acts like a complete asshole, and you just have to accept it because you don't know his real thoughts. But you know his real thoughts about a situation that's happened 6 years prior, so you kind of get to know Miles through his past self. And it's this weird feeling where while you're reading Tate's point of views, you still see Miles as that himself 6 years ago, and you just can't understand why he's acting and treating Tate the way he is. So I thought that was really interesting. I absolutely love the writing style. I also really enjoyed every Miles chapter, with the exception of the first like 2 pages of his first chapter, which is chapter 2. After right here, I don't know why you see the words, but after right here, his entire points of view, all of his points of view are written like poems, but not like poetic. Does that make any sense? It's written like a novel, like the words are written like a book is written, but the formatting is in like this poetry formatting, which I think is really really interesting. I think it's a really cool choice, and I think it makes complete sense with the story that's being told through Miles's point of view. Along with the writing style, I really enjoyed the plot of this book. It's not fun. It is a very great story. It is fun until it's not. I read this in one night. I was addicted. I read this last night. It took me like 5 or 6 hours, but I devoured it and I loved it. The plot is just so captivating because of all of the elements to it that you don't really understand until you're reading it. And it is just so freaking fantastic. I loved this book. The plot, it develops in ways that you don't see it developing. And that is all I'll say. It is an amazing plot that I really enjoyed. I found it captivating and enthralling, and I loved it. As for the characters, we are going to start off with our girl Tate. I really liked Tate. I really liked her. I wish sometimes when she was like, oh, I have all this homework to do, and then she went with Miles, I wish she'd get her homework done. As a college student, I'm like, girl, you need to get that work done. But she always seemed to get it done. And I know a lot of people have read this book and are like, Miles is an asshole. Why does Tate still want him? Why does Tate think that she can fix him? Because he's an asshole to her. But I think it's just so real that Tate sees him and just wants to know everything. Like, it is so realistic to just want to know everything about a person, and when they're not giving it to you, you just want to know it more. I think it's also very realistic that she's like, it can't be that bad, like, just tell me about your past. But she also, it's the way she's written is very realistic. The contemplation she has of herself in her head is just so realistic. Like, she's not really cool with this arrangement they have going on about just having sex and not progressing to anything more than that. And she understands the only way she can have Miles in any sense of the word have. So she deals with it. But like the contemplation she has in her head, like, why am I doing this when I know I want more and he never wants more? It's just so realistic because she's accepting the fact that this is all they have while still like holding on to a little bit of hope that it will go further. And I think that's just so realistic. Miles, his characterization is just very sad. He's very broken. He has a lot of trauma that you unpack through his point of views, and that's all I'll say about Miles. Corbin and Ian are Tate's brother, and Ian is Miles' best friend, along with Dylan, who's also their pilot friend, because they're all pilots. But Dylan's like a married asshole who's just hitting on Tate throughout the whole book. I thought they were very good foils for Miles's character to bounce off of. Really like the character of Cap throughout this whole book. He is amazing. I really like when there is a character that's kind of away from what's happening in the book, but all the other characters kind of go to them for advice. Pretty much throughout this entire book, while she's dealing with the whole Miles thing, Tate is asking for advice from the elevator man, Cap, who's like this 80-year-old man who does the elevators. And he is just the light of this book. He is amazing. It's just some last couple things. The relationship between Tate and Miles, for me, I loved it. I ate that shit up. I really enjoyed Tate and Miles. I thought they were really realistic, and each side of their situation was portrayed very well, and I really enjoyed them together. My overall thoughts for Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. It is fantastic. That's my overall thoughts. Fantastic. I rated it a 5 stars on Goodreads. I will have my review of the book on Goodreads up by now if you'd like to go read it for yourself, but I highly recommend this book. I think that if you're really into romance, or you just like to have your heart slowly ripped out of your chest by Miss Hoover here, hurt you you, but in a good way. This book hurt me in a good way. I am so glad I read this, and it is addictive. Like I said, I read this last night in like 5 hours. And with that, this book talk is over. So thank you for watching this book talk. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below. Comment books you might want me to read. Comment books you want me to do book talks on. Maybe challenges you want to see me do, like reading and stuff. With that said, I will see you next Sunday, and I hope you're having an amazing 2022. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.